When I hosted Have I Got News for You last year, 7 people telephoned the BBC to say I was a very poor presenter. When my guest tonight hosted it, 85 people rang up and said he was an excellent presenter. He is the Conservative MP for Henley, he's editor of The Spectator, and it seems he's 92 times better than me at hosting topical news quizzes. Ladies and gentlemen, Boris Johnson!
I'm glad he brought that up, because London used to be a communist city, but now, thanks to my guest, it isn't anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, please... Actually, you do this, because my voice ups the enthusiasm. Go, quickly, quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boris Johnson!
Boris! You're here. How are you?
Oh, very well. Nice to see you.
Good.
Have a seat. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. What's this? Is that for you? Is that for me?
It's my urine sample.
Your urine. Looks like
I'm very startled.
What's that?
How can you be a journalist and a politician and still be loved? Because I think most people still love Boris.
Well, I resist. You know, I think I'd resist your analysis there. What you find is that people are very far from loving you actually shout all sorts of hostile things.
Who shouts?
Well, you know, I was just watching your programme and someone said I was faffing around in trying to remove the bendy buses from the streets of London. Yeah, let's get straight down to the point.
Let's get straight to that. How long have you been Mayor of London for now?
8 months.
8 months. Yeah. You said, before you were Mayor, if I become Mayor, I'll get rid of the bendy buses.
And I will. Friday.
Burning.
This Friday, I am told that we are announcing the removal of the bendy bus from 3 routes, 80 buses.
So you're talking, but I'm hearing music. And when's this happening?
They will be off by 2010.
Oh, for God's sake!
You're a very hard man to please. You are a very hard man. I mean,
Can you just say
anybody would think you were some kind of crazed petrol head.
How are you? Good to see you. Have a seat.
Thank you.
This Have I Got News for You malarkey.
Yes.
It is tricky, isn't it?
Very tricky. I mean, tricky for me, at least, anyway.
Well, it was tricky. It was trying to remember which bit you were supposed to be looking at any given time. I think Angus Deaton earned his money.
I think they should bring back Angus.
Well, who thinks we should bring back Angus?
I think they should bring back Angus.
Yes.
Not bring back hanging, but bring back Angus.
Yeah. The thing I've got to find out, though, really, is most politicians, as far as I can work out, are pretty incompetent and then have a veneer of competence.
Yes.
You do seem to do it the other way round.
Yes. Oh, you can't rule out the possibility that, you know, beneath the elaborately constructed veneer of a, you know, blithering idiot, there lurks a blithering idiot.
Well, which is it? Are you a blithering
No, of course
idiot?
not. No, my dear fellow.
What's this about you driving a tractor through a barn, then?
Yes, it's perfectly true that this is a long time ago. I'm, you know, if you ever driven a tractor very fast.
No. Nobody has.
Well, this was actually rather a fast one by my standards. Massey Ferguson tractor. It had a great many very complicated gears. And at the crucial moment, I couldn't remember which gear was the one you used when you wanted to slow down. And I just, a sort of blankness descended. And I went out through the back of the barn and...
Through the wall?
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, it was all right in the end. They docked my pay. Where I was working, but so it was perfectly easy to replace the wall. So it could have been.
What were you, a tractor driver then?
Part-time, yes, part-time tractor driver. Yes.
And now you write about cars.
I do. Well, I do. But you know, Jeremy, I sit at your feet in the terms of, you know, writing about cars. Anyway, I'm, you know, like Aeschylus, feasting at the, you know, from scraps from the rich banquet of Homer. Yeah. That's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that goes down big on Top Gear.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Is it?
It is a good thing. Yeah.
You know Boris Johnson, OK, Mayor of London. I was driving around behind a bus this week, and I took a photograph of the message he's put on it. OK, this is from the Mayor of London, and it says, "Amazing! Changing gears at lower roads reduces your CO2 emissions and saves you money." I was then reading GQ magazine, OK, a road test here of a Ferrari 430, and it says, "The essence of it, in my view, is not to change up until you hit about 6,000 revs." This was written by somebody called Boris Johnson.
You were the motoring correspondent of GQ magazine.
Si.
I believe.
Yes.
Do you know how many...
Where's this going?
Do you know how much you built up in parking tickets? on those cars that you tested?
Well, I can tell you something. I jolly well paid them because...
Ooh, now, your publisher argues with that. You may have paid them.
Well, no. There were two phases in our relationship. There was the phase when they paid for the parking tickets, and then there was the phase...
Do you know how much the phase cost them when they were paying for them?
No.
£4,500.
So they made claim now.
I just want to explain this to you, okay, right? The thing is I was the first civilian to go in the back of an F-15 jet, and then Boris was the second. Now,
Yeah.
I owned up on television to vomiting in it.
Yeah, I know.
And
Well,
you came back and wrote a piece in the Telegraph, and you said I was a big girl's blouse and you weren't sick. I put it to you, Johnson, you're a liar. Well, you were sick. You can't possibly have not been sick in the back of that plane.
No, I wasn't actually.
With eye contact.
No, I wasn't. No, I absolutely honest Injun. I wasn't.
Well, then they must have been wusses with you. How many G did you have?
I did the whole lot, and I actually, unlike you, I flew out over the sea and went supersonic. Yeah. And not only that, we did a bombing run.
I did a bombing run.
Yeah. No. I bet you when you took over, I bet you they didn't give you the controls.
Oh, they gave me the controls
Yeah.
for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
How long did you fly?
2 feet. An hour. I can't remember how long it was.
It wasn't as much as 40 minutes. That was why I was sick, is because every time he flew...
you complete big girls' plus. Anyway, you are... No, but I'm not going to have this because I did much more than you. And plus...
You did not!
No, yes,
you did not do more
Yes,
than
I
me.
did. Yes, I did. Plus, I'm stronger than you. Jeremy, I really don't. I mean, I don't in any way want to, take your achievement away from you. You were the first chap in the plane,
And the best.
Yeah. Well, you did jolly well. You did jolly well, and they much enjoyed cleaning up after you.
Now, can I just, while we're on the subject of this, there's a photograph, actually, which I took. We brought this up on the programme a few weeks ago. This is a message from you on the back of one of your lovely buses. Changing gears at lower revs reduces your CO2 emissions and saves you money. Yes?
Very good.
You've put that up.
Absolutely right.
Draw your attention to something you wrote in GQ magazine. The essence of it is, in my view, not to change up until you hit about 6,000 RPM.
Well, listen, in the case of the Ferrari 430, which I will admit I was driving, it may very well be that was the cleanest, greenest, most fuel efficient of changing gear. But I think that's a very sensible message. And on your very track the other day, I was introduced to this wonderful electric car by the proprietor of this Dunsfold track.
Yes.
And we've all got to go electric. We've got to go electric. 1p a mile. 1 penny a mile.
And where does the power come from, Boris?
Comes from the plug. In fact, I'll tell you something. I make this prophecy, Jeremy, that the gear is going to be obsolete, and your programme will have to change its name to Top Plug.
Wait, right, Boris Johnson. Hey, Boris Johnson, as I'm sure you know, has announced this week that the London congestion charge will not, as Ken Livingstone suggested, be going up to £25 a day. He's keeping it at 8. Boris has got a round of applause. However, in the interest of political balance, I do have a complaint about Boris, because he said when he was campaigning he was going to get rid of the bendy buses, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what's the delay?
Well, hang on, give him a chance.
Well, how long's he been in office now?
Well, 2 months. Exactly.
2 months?
Yeah. Yeah.
Time me. Right, I've got a phone. Hang on. Ready? Go. Is that Reg Varney? Right, you know those big long buses with elastic in the middle? Get them off the road. Don't send them out ever again. Sell them to the Belgians or someone, all right? Was that 2 months?
8 seconds.
8 seconds. Come on, Boris, hurry up. That sorted that one out. Good.
Hey,
Miracle. But I'm a very keen cyclist. Unlike you, I think. You're
I
not...
know this.
Yeah, I knew that.
And you talk on a mobile phone while you're doing it.
No.
You
well,
do?
I do, yes. I do. No, when I said no, I wanted to make a point about my willingness to learn and to reform, because it's perfectly true that I did once talk on a mobile phone while cycling. And actually, why shouldn't you be able to talk on a mobile phone?
Because you can't reach the brakes.
You can with one hand.
Oh, no, I had this exact same thing.
Are you saying that people with only one arm shouldn't be allowed to ride a bicycle? Are you? Because I put it to you,
Yes.
that's discriminatory.
Yes, people with one arm should not be allowed to ride a bicycle on the basis that...
What do you mean?
No one should be allowed to ride a bicycle.
Ah.
They take up too much space on the road and they don't pay to be there.
Well, I think bicycles are absolutely wonderful. You wouldn't park in a cycle lane, would you?
Park in one?
You wouldn't park in a cycle lane.
No, but I do drive in them fairly regularly.
You drive in cycle
Yeah,
lanes?
and bus lanes. I think the bus lane is a very good idea.
For you?
Yeah, because you think everyone's not in this. Fantastic. I'm late. I'll just zoom up it.
I don't know. Are you allowed to say that on telly?
I just did. Whether it gets edited out.
I defy the makers of Top Gear to keep that admission in the final edit.
Well, now, we're not going to know...
I think that's a bit of a challenge.
Until Sunday night, we're not going to know whether it makes it into the final edit or not.
Outrageous.
What, that I drive in bus lanes? Who here drives in bus lanes? One, two. Exactly. There's only 3 of us who drive in bus lanes. They're empty. Are you?
The question that James asked about me, onto what or into which did I hurl in 1997, I think was the right date. I've never vomited into a car, but I have vomited explosively. Somebody's got it here. Matthew Nuttall-Smith, a McDonnell Douglas F-15E.
Correct.
Correct answer. Well done,
Yes.
Matthew Nuttall-Smith there. 3 points. The McDonnell Douglas made it. It was the F-15 fighter bomber, and it was the E model, or A, B, C, D, and I was flying the E. And then, and this is interesting, about 2 months later, another British journalist went for a flight in an F-15 and claimed afterwards to me that he hadn't been sick in it, that it had gone upside down and he'd flown it and he'd done loop-the-loop and barrel rolls, but hadn't been sick. And that British journalist's name is, anybody want to hazard a guess?
Alistair Cook.
No, not Alistair Cook. Does anybody on here want to hazard a guess? And there was a row on television between me and him, and he was going, I did not vomit. And I said, you cannot possibly have been in that plane and not vomited. Somebody's going, Andrew Neil, Piers Morgan. No, Piers Morgan. No, wasn't Piers Morgan, wasn't Jonathan Ross. He's not a journalist. I am asking the question. This was on television, a televised row between me and him. It's on YouTube, you can find it. And he was going, I wasn't sick. I went in an F-15, same pilot as me, upside down, same pilot. And the answer is, you'll have heard of him, Boris Johnson.
Oh, was it really? Good luck.
9 fucking toe rag. He said he wasn't sick in it. And I know he was sick in it. I know he was.
Anyone here from London? Okay, right, you're all familiar with the Westway. I've got a picture of it here. It's a big snaking ribbon of tarmac that scythes into the centre of the city. The idea being it gets you in as quickly as possible and out as quickly as possible. Now, for many years, it's had a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is too low, but they've decided this week to lower it to 30. 30 miles an hour. I'm sorry, I tried driving down there earlier this week at 30 miles an hour. I damn nearly caused 27 accidents. There was this little girl on a scooter. I was like, what are you doing, you idiot? You know,
But isn't it supposed to be a temporary speed limit whilst they do some works underneath the bridge bit or something?
yes, it is. But when they introduced the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit on, all British motorways in 1965, they said then that was temporary. Here we are, 46 years later, we've still got it. Speed limits are like herpes.
Are they?
Yeah, you get them, never get rid of them. Never.
I've got to say, it doesn't look
Why is that man nodding again? I know, yeah.
I've got speed limits.
But this road's run by Boris Johnson, yes? Now, Boris Johnson wrote a piece in Her Majesty's Daily Telegraph last week in which he said he didn't want to be forced to wear a helmet while skiing because as an individual he should be allowed to make up his own mind and he doesn't want governments telling him what to do. Boris, I give you that.
It is weird, isn't it? Because we all think of Boris Johnson as being cuddly and affable and having slightly funny hair, but history will remember him as Boris the Oppressor.
He is. Boris is a Russian name, and this is a Russian thing to do. But listen, Boris, OK, when your roadworks or whatever it is you're doing under that bridge are finished, I want to see that 30 limit gone.
Look, the lap was, shall I be honest, pouring with rain.
Yeah.
And it didn't go quite as smoothly as perhaps you'd hoped. Because most people, as you know, spin off on the second to last corner. Boris decided he was going to spin off on every single corner. Who'd like to see Boris's practices? Yes? So we have a look, Boris, at some of these. Here we are, second to last corner. There's the traditional spot for going off. And here we are on the final corner, Gambon, and off we go again. Here we are now on the actual past the tyres was there. I think the problem is, Boris, you can't turn left. Oh no, wait, you're going right here and... Oh dear, that's got first person ever to go off on the follow-through. Well done, Boris. Fantastic.
I'm Jeremy Clarkson, and in the next Parliament, I'd like to see the government prioritising farming. We've been asked to diversify, and when we try to do that, the local authorities tell us we can't. That needs addressing.
Hi Jeremy, it's Boris here. I hope very much that you've had a chance to have a look at our food strategy, and a lot of that is about backing British farming, backing our own domestic food production, eating more of what we grow here, and of course growing much more of what we can do it. What we want to do is back farmers in all sorts of ways, particularly making sure they have access to the labour they need, but also supporting them when it comes to things like their fuel costs, their fertiliser costs, but supporting them also with innovation. And we're putting a lot of money into new technology. I've just been looking at a machine that can plant 150,000 cabbages, Jeremy, every day. But what we want to do particularly for farmers, and I know that you care about this a lot, is ensure that we say that when farmers want to develop their property, when they want to turn a barn into a bistro or whatever you want to do, that we make sure that computer does not say no, and we help them, help farmers to make most of their crops and make the most of their land as well.